Okay, well, I got in contact with a friend. He is one of the most vocal Loaded Lions holders I know. I see his tweets under all announcement and updates. I reached out to him to see if he would be available to discuss the Loaded Lions and CDC mint debacle, and he agreed. So I would like to introduce Marcus, or otherwise known as Mad Mogul.
Hey, Santi, thank you very much for the introductions. Definitely excited to talk about the Loaded Lions, as it is a hot topic today.
Oh yeah. I've been seeing your posts, and we've been talking about it nonstop since the beginning. So just a little bit of background for you guys that are following us on Twitter. So me and Marcus went in on a Loaded Line together right prior to the land mint, because we were excited for the land mint. We're like, okay, this could be a very awesome venture, and it was not so. It was not so. It was quite the opposite. So let's first talk about let's talk about the Loaded Line itself, right? I think that just Loaded Line itself, I do believe it's bullish. I do believe that it does have growth, and we have seen them mess up and then them come back, and this past year we've seen a good amount of that. But overall, I will say that CDC they have taken care of their lions. For the most part, they have taken care of the lions, and that's why the community continues to grow, and that's why the floor price is where it is now. Talking about that mint, let's talk about that mint, that original mint for that land. So I know that you were one of the people that experienced one of the most issues. So please tell me about everything that you experienced during that land mint. All right, so I wanted to take this time and explain a little bit further as to what the queue system is, and as to what they announced prior, right? So this is straight from the website. What is the queue system? We have implemented a queuing system for limited time drops in order to ensure stable performance and improve your purchase experience. 60 minutes before the drop starts, you will be taken into a waiting room with other users looking to purchase the drop. 10 minutes before the drop starts, people in the waiting room will be taken to the queue, where queue numbers will get assigned randomly before the beginning of the event. Once you are redirected to the drop event page, you can start the purchase process. Those of you who join the queue after the numbers are assigned, i.e. later than 10 minutes before the drop begins, will be directly assigned a number at the back of the queue. When you are in the queue, please do not close the queue page. You will lose your spot in the queue and if you leave this page. Please make sure you join the queue with only one tab. Don't try joining the queue from multiple tabs or devices. So next we have the cap, right? So that was a really big point of contention. A lot of people were talking about this. So is there a cap to how many packs a single user can purchase from the drop? Yes, there will be a cap on the number of land packs that each user can purchase. This gives everyone a chance to participate in the drop and come away with their very own Crypto.com land NFT. Okay, and now we go back to the interview.
I can't say I had the most issues. There were some that were definitely affected a lot more than me. I did end up getting to mint 2 the first day. I didn't have to go through the remint process. Overall, I would say that mint really started to go wrong beforehand, before the mint even became public. People were asking, well, what was the mint size cap? How many can I mint as a Loaded Line? People tried to figure out the tokenomics behind it right from the get-go for months leading up to it. And I've heard many other Loaded Lions speak on this, saying, we tried to figure that out. We've asked and asked and asked and asked, and they didn't get answers. They were told right before the mint that they would be released that information, and that never occurred. No one was told, or at least publicly, it wasn't announced how many you could mint.
Okay, and just to specify, he's talking specifically about the caps, like how much there were, because they did make the announcement that there was going to be a cap, but they never announced how much. And come to find out, when mint day, there was no cap. There's people that minted over 100.
So, to our surprise, a few minutes into the mint, we start seeing tweets saying, "Oh look, I got 20 of the tropical packs." Which is absolutely insane that one person can go and mint 100. So that's one of the initial issues. Another piece was 2, 3, 4 hours prior to the mint, people could get into the queue just for a bit. And I even got into place 171, give or take. And so that was a big red flag. Like, wait a second. And I didn't realize it at the time, but people have made good points that once they noticed that it wasn't working, that the queue wasn't working, and it was mentioned in Discord to them. Not that I was a part of their Discord or saw this, but I've heard it secondhand. Mm-hmm. It was mentioned to them and they did nothing about it. They didn't realize, wait, we've got a problem. We should deal with it. We should address it. They just kept on shoveling through. And that to me is really where things start to break down. A, not enough communication from the team. B, when there were signals that things were going amiss and awry, they didn't halt things and do it proper. So the mint happened, and within, 5 to 10 minutes, it was done. All the tropicals were done. Sure, it took an hour or two for everything else to get out there, but the main piece of the pie was already given out. And that's a problem, right? When you go into a mint and there's whales with 50, 60, 70, and then as a solution or a band-aid fix, you go and say, oh, well, for everyone who missed, you can come get two. That right there sets everything on a bad foot. And then it continued to spiral from there because they're just piling through. They're getting their shit done. And that is
Wait,
just
wait. Let's talk about the all the failed transactions, because that's also a pretty big aspect during that mint.
right. And I wouldn't say they were failed transactions
Mhm.
up front. There were some people that experienced USD failed transactions. I was not one of them. I had Crow ready to go and I bought with Crow. And I was buying lands for you and I for our loaded line. That was the plan.
Mhm.
And I had whatever, $600 ready to go in Crow, 600 and some change. So I bought 3 tropical packs. I felt pretty excited. I was like, okay, job's done. Time to go to bed because I was up all night for this land mint. I was excited. Gave you a quick message, called, woke you up. I was like, hey, got it. Locked and loaded, baby. I hung up and I went and got comfy in bed. I went to go look at my spoils of war and realized, wait a second, they're not in my wallet. And at that point in time, that's when my brain started going, wait a minute. What's up? I checked my CDC account and I had been refunded. So I don't know if that's exactly a failed transaction or if that's mismanagement of whatever was going on, right? They processed it. It said successful. And I would say it's my fault that I didn't wait for the timer to go off, like the blue circle of death. I didn't wait for that because I figured CDC had my back. It did not. So they refunded me and people ended up walking away with 75 lands plus. And to me, that's a problem,
Yeah,
right?
I
Right from
agree.
the get-go.
I agree, and that's something that we saw a lot of discussion on, and I'll be posting some of the tweets that I saw during that time. But there was a lot of discussion in regards to like, oh, why does this known whale get 85 land, and I'm just trying to get my first land and I can't do it. And they sent a picture, and all 6 of their transactions were reversed or refunded or whatever. And I think that's probably where their biggest issue was, because it kind of seemed like favored it because certain people had no issues minting. And then when I'll never forget, like there was one day that that on that mint day that some guy, he tweeted, he's like, oh, I bought my 12 packs. He goes, I don't know how everybody else is having issues. This is easy. And man, they went in on him on the comment section. They just railed him like, oh, well, you're not the only little line. And they just started going at him. But I do believe that I'm not saying that it's favoritism or anything, but it does feel strange that there were some people that were not affected at all, and then there were some people that were severely hindered and they just weren't able to get the land. And there are some people that wanted to get a bunch of land, but because of it, they're like, you know what, I'm done with this. I don't even want to touch the land. And that kind of sets a pretty bad sets a pretty bad precedence in regards to CDC and that land mint, because now that there was a lot of people who were excited about it, but now with all of these issues from the get-go, from the mint itself, it lets you wondering, excuse me, it leaves you wondering like why, like this is a multi-million dollar company, and they've done mints before. They had issues with the loaded lion mint. You would think that they have it fixed by now. And it's just, it doesn't match up. It's strange to me, right?
Absolutely. It's a bit peculiar. And the question in my mind is, where's the gain? Who's gaining? Because if you allow some of your loaded lions in and some ended up getting blocked because of your lack of controls and your lack of forethought into this mint, even though everyone was screaming at you for it, that looks like negligence. It looks like absolute negligence, right? And to me, it's like, well, someone has to benefit somewheres. Otherwise, you're not just negligent like that. When you are a company of such stature, it just doesn't make sense, right? When you are a company of that stature and you're saying that this is a pioneer project, right, in the space where, you know, it's where you're putting all of your balls and saying that this is where we're going forward with. You do it with care. You do it with the utmost care. Another thing I noticed was their queue didn't work. So some people were sitting there like good people, waiting their turn to get their land, rightfully so. They're supposed to 10 minutes before that happened, shuffle the queue. That did not happen. Another red flag that they could have 10 minutes before caught, shut it down, stopped it. They didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So then some people figured out, oh, well, if I just go back out and back in, well, I get to skip the queue and go and mint right away. And that to me suggests that technical difficulties is another way to tell my friends, hey, just reset the page, go first. And that to me, even if there's no proof and there is no way to prove this, it looks sketchy and it leaves a bad taste, as you were suggesting. It's not good faith. And beyond that, it keeps snowballing out of control, right? They come back, and at that point in time, they noticed there was a problem. Great. They started addressing the problem. Great. They came out with their tweet. Shane was like, okay, well, you know, wait a minute, just let us all handle this. We'll take care of it. The big dogs talked, and the big dogs said, oh, well, we've got 5,000 left. We'll let you guys have the scraps. And that to me is insulting.
Mm-hmm.
5 people could have gotten 500. 50 people could have gotten 5,000. There are 10,000 lions, maybe only 4,000 to 6,000 holders, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit, you know, that's purely irrelevant because you definitely have more than 1,000 holders. And it was just so skewed in the favor of few that any small holder would be absolutely revolted from this process, right? If you ended up getting 1 and couldn't mint a second the next day, that's an extra screw you.
Mm-hmm.
If you had 2 the first day, great, you were now on par with everyone else. If you had more, great, you made out like a bandit. And no one wants to put blame on the people that got away lucky, right? No one wants to attack those people because it's rude, it's wrong. You know, some people were greedy, and that's not always the right thing. But it is CDC's fault that they allowed it to happen when they know how math works. They are a multi-million, multi-billion-dollar company, and they know how it works. They know the pressure that they have, the sales pressure that they have for their main collections, and they've made the mistakes before. So when they came back and said, oh, let this be a learning experience first, before they even offered the 5,000, let this be a learning experience. You know, congrats, we're lion proud. I'm a brand new lion. I'm not proud of this. This is disgusting. I'm ready to right, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
And how can I turn around and try to support that if they're willing to play like that, right? It does not inspire investor confidence, and that's what we need. Mm-hmm. We wanted good, strong investor confidence. We wanted to grow the lions larger by saying, hey, you need a lion to get in. People who didn't have lions got in. And beyond that, we wanted to grow it to other communities. I think there was 7 communities that had allow lists. Mm-hmm. None of them got to use that. None. Why would CDC even offer it if they were just going to
work?
Right. If they weren't going to take the measures in place to make sure it got to that point.
Yeah.
Like complete negligence.
And I will say that, so I was talking about this with one of my other friends, and I was like, imagine if this was another project. Imagine this was a DeFi project and there was issues from the mint. I can guarantee you they would not have minted out. I can guarantee you they would not have minted out, or they would not have been able to recover from that, because the mint is it's crucial. It's the crux of like the whole process. So the fact that they messed that up from the beginning is just ridiculous to me. And honestly, it's kind of just insane, because you know, as mentioned prior, like they've been doing this for a while. They do this for other projects. They go and help them get onto their platform. It's like, so you can do it for other projects, and you set up mints properly and everything for them. It's like, why doesn't it work for Loaded Lions? Like, you know, what's going on here? Like, why doesn't it work for the lands? You know, what changed in the what changed in the code that you know, like, what's the difference there?
And how did one day not work, but the next day everything was perfect without a problem? Mm-hmm. I'm not buying
super
that.
Suspicious. And and if I was talking about this, and I was like, you know, if this was any other DeFi project or any other kind of project, it would not have they would not have been able to get it off the ground. Just the only reason that it's able to get it off the ground, or kind of recover, is because they have an ass load of money to throw. They're like, oh, there's an issue, money. There's an
Yeah.
issue, money, 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 money. It's like,
And I will say, even in DeFi, if there was a lot of money, they still could have got it off the ground. But here's where the centralized system can benefit from what they have. They have complete control of it. They can roll back transactions. They can switch things up. They can say, oh, they can do whatever they want because it's all in their pocket. And the fact that they didn't, within 24 hours, they didn't roll it back and they decided to just keep on pushing through, hugely suspicious. Like, why? Why not? You messed up. We all see you messed up. You tried to Band-Aid fix it. It's embarrassing. Stop. Cease and desist, please stop. But no, they kept going. And then they get to the whole 2 days ago, 3 days ago, they release, or they go and mint out a whole secondary collection, right? And this is how they're doing their actual reveal.
I do want to take this quick moment and explain a little bit as to what happened with the second mint, as to what was the exploit specifically. So first off, I want to give a huge shout out to Nilo, 0x Nilo. He's a part of the community, and he actually went in and did a deep dive into what's going on, and he was able to expose it and expose the exploit, and also pretty much help the community find it out in mass, I would say. So I'm not gonna go and read everything, but pretty much he goes into what exactly he's looking for, right? So he goes and he's looking for that because he's been hearing reports that people are able to reveal the specific land in his DMs. So he started going and investigating. His first contract, nothing came up, everything was good. But the second contract, the replacement contract, he was able to go and find the information. So he goes and, as you can see, he puts in the loaded line, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And once he put in that loaded line, he instantly knew, okay, trade type, rarity, value, rare. So he instantly knew which land he would get, which was the alluring aurora, and if it was rare or not. So people were using this information secretly before he exposed it. People were using this information to go and sweep from the floor. So like, let's say people had offers or had their NFTs listed, and people saw that it was a rare one, they would instantly buy it. And there was people getting offers for like 1,000 for like the legendaries and stuff like that. But keep in mind, it wasn't supposed to release until tomorrow. So, I mean, pardon me, until today, I should say, because tomorrow was yesterday. But yeah, it wasn't supposed to release until today. So he reported this information to Supreme Shaney, and he did go and just pretty much detail everything about it. I will be linking this in the description below. I don't really want to go into reading everything about it, just because just for time's sake. But yeah, it's a very good thread to read, and honestly, just I commend him for being able to go on and not only figure out this information, but actually share it, because there was people inside of the community that were using this information and not letting others know, just using it and just going and swiping from the floor and swiping the specific ones that they wanted. And I do have some examples of those people that I will be putting on later on.
They've got one collection, which is the one that we just minted from them. And by minted, I mean they hold them and say that it's in our wallet in their centralized system. Great, I understand that. Now they create a second one and they're going to just swap them out, right? And that's how they're going to do it. And that's, they're going to keep them all in their wallets so that there's no problems, and they keep complete control, because that's what centralized is. But then people do understand this technology and they realize that this happens, and they just go and start sniping. And it creates this, him versus her, this person against this person. It creates polarity, and that's absolutely disgusting. You see it all the time in politics, especially, and you see people losing their minds on one side of the debate, even though we're here trying to find common ground. We're here trying to come together and be stronger collectively, but they're just pitting us against each other now at this point. And then their fix for that is to just roll it back and basically mint a third one. And give totally different answers to people, like, oh, well, you have this number and we'll redo the metadata by minting it again. And that's just absolutely insulting, because day one, they could have gone back and redone the mint and made sure it was very equal, very fair, very controlled, very methodical, because they fucked up. Not us, they did, right? We were here, we were ready, and we wanted to play ball. but they just took it so far and fumbled that ball, right? And that's
Yeah.
just so sad to see from a multi-billion-dollar company that I've been invested in for over a year now. It's like, why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I trying to build a project here if you can't even deliver on your own projects?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I agree. And it's just, it's insane because anybody who's been watching my content for, this past year, they know that I'm all Chronos and crypto.com. But like, man, they've been messing up recently, like so much. Like, not only just with this load alignment, but that's for another video. But and I want to ask, let's bring it into now what's happening currently, right? Let's talk about what happened in this past 2 days. And I know you've been in a lot of spaces talking about it with other people and just getting a lot of insight. So in the last 2 days, pretty much what's going on, what's happening, and in regards to this reveal.
Yeah, so essentially they released the metadata by minting a second mint. And once that was done, people that are familiar with the technology, not the masses, because most people aren't completely familiar with blockchain technology, and that isn't on them, frankly. Crypto.com is onboarding masses through their marketing and their advertising. And at this point, they have a lot of uneducated people playing this game, and that's totally fine. That is how mass adoption happens. Any Joe Blow should be able to use this, and it should be completely transparent.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are better with this technology, and that's causing advantages for them, which should not be in place. Someone's offering $5,000 for this piece of land, and someone's like, oh my gosh, I got $5,000, I'm going to accept it. Because they think they're getting a great deal. Meanwhile, the other person who offered the money knows that they're sniping that best piece of land. And once they snipe that best piece of land, they think they've got it. So now CDC has been attacked because they released this 2 days early, right? They released who got what lands 2 days early. People that minted, don't know better, held, fought through. They're now going to lose all of their lands that they did have that were rare. And it's all going to get reshuffled around because they're going to go mint it again. They already did. I think it was like 4 or 5 hours ago. They minted a whole nother contract. So all the metadata is different. And they're essentially just going to patchwork it. They're going to say, okay, well, sucks to be you that you minted it, got a rare one. Since these guys knew how to play with our exploit, you're going to get a normal one, and we're going to shuffle things around. And hopefully the ones that exploited it, they'll suffer the most. They bought it for 5,000. Their land might become a Crimson Dune worth 50. That's some big losses for the people that exploited it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's their gameplay, which is still malicious. They're still like, that money still went through their system. They still get the commissions on that money. And now they're turning it around on everybody, right? Like, again, pitting us against each other because someone's getting screwed. So they've got a certain position. Someone's getting a little bit better of a position. So now they have to defend this side, creating polarity, creating people at odds, instead of doing the real right thing that has integrity of backing it up to the start and doing it completely correct.
Yep.
They messed up once, they didn't fix it. They messed up again, they didn't fix it. So what can we expect from them? We can expect for them to mess it up and for them to cover their ass and wipe it with it, right? They'll be done with us.
This is what I'm thinking, because like, if just to give you guys like a visualization of how I'm thinking about it, it's kind of like as if, when your very first time like going on ice skating, like, and you're about to fall, you're like, okay, oh, like you're going back and forth, you're almost hitting the ground, and then you hit the ground. And all it really takes is somebody just to go and stabilize you, and then you're able to go and go back in. And CDC did not have that stabilizing factor. The stabilizing factor was restarting the whole thing. That would have been the stabilizing factor. And when it comes to CDC, all right, so just for anybody that's watching, CDC crypto.com, that's that's what we call CDC. I mean, that's what we call crypto.com. But when it comes to this, it's insane to see from the very beginning. It's insane to see that this was just not a constant mess up and after mess up after mess up. And it's just like, like if you guys know from the very beginning that there's people complaining since the day one, and people that started selling their lines under floor, like way under floor. There was, and I'll forget. I was so mad. I saw one guy, he's like, oh, I'm done. And he just posted all his lines. He posted one for like 1,500. I asked my wife, I'm like, oh, we should get it. And she's like, no. And then now the floor backs to 1,900. So not fun. But
and that's whatever. At the end of the day, people are getting hurt because of their inactions. Like
Exactly.
they were warned before the mint. It's not even from day one. It's from far before then. They didn't listen to their community. They don't keep up good rapport with their community. They don't keep up communication with their community. All they have to do is come into a Twitter space and talk. We saw whatever 6 months ago, 4 months ago, crypto.com NFT go into Shillenville in space and get completely wrecked. He can go into Shillenville in space to try to build rapport, but he can't come talk to his actual community. I don't understand this. And it actually rubs me the wrong way. It's like, what? We're just cows to you? Cash cows? Right?
Yeah. No, 100%. And so in regards to the mint itself, or I should say the reveal itself, I do know that we also checked our lands, and our lands were not good. So I'm at the same time, I'm kind of glad that it was a reroll, but there is a lot of people giving.
Oh, they're still not good, Santi. Don't worry, they're still not good.
Oh, of course. But most likely we're still gonna get dunes again. But there's still the chance that we get a proper reroll. But the thing is, there's people that on Twitter that they're like, oh, I got X land, I should, why should I get rerolled? And I don't know. I there's been a lot of as you said, polarity on that issue. But in my opinion, we weren't supposed to know what land we're going to get anyways. So why does it matter if it's rerolled? Like I understand, like, it was, because of the metadata, we were able to see it a little bit earlier. And those that did mint, like, and got, like, there was a guy who got like 2 legendaries, and, and there are those people that do suffer for that because, they minted them and they got lucky. But at the same time, like, we weren't supposed to know what it was until the next day. We weren't supposed to know until today either way. So they, I find the reroll good. What's your stance on the reroll, or should they have handled it
It's a band-aid. It's a band-aid, right? The community's losing their mind and they're trying to do something to make it feel better, but they're still screwing a lot of people. My opinion on it is it's a cop-out. They need to fix the entirety of the mint. They need to know the exact procedures they're going to do it right. They cannot release the metadata 2 days early. And if they do release the metadata and allow secondary sales at the same time or transfers, they're effing losing their mind. Anything short of that to me is suspicious.
Well said. All right. Well, that's all the questions that I have had. Do you have anything else to say to our viewers today?
Thank you all for supporting, and I hope you give Santi a like, a follow, and a sub.
All right. Thank you so very much. And I'll see you guys in the next episode of Essential Investments. Thank you guys so much for sticking to the end of the video. I did want to briefly touch upon, this is kind of aimed at CDC, at crypto.com, and just pretty much anybody who needs these kind of services. I actually recently co-founded a company that helps with everything Web3 development wise. Not only the development, marketing, like just pretty much a whole slew of things that we offer. And it's kind of obvious that CDC needs a little bit of help in this area. So I did want to give myself a free little like chill, I would say, in regards to it, because we just launched, and I do believe that we would be able to help them. We'd be able to audit anything that they'd want to come out with before it comes out, so that way there aren't all these issues. But yeah, I did want to share this really quick. Okay, so as you can see, this is us, w3u.io. I'll be leaving it in the description below. But yeah, we handle a whole slew of things from development, hosting services, marketing, community management, and we have a pretty strong team. You could even check us out here, and here's our bios and everything. But this is, as mentioned, this is mostly aimed to crypto.com or anybody who does need it. But yeah, crypto.com, if you guys are ever in search for more developers or want somebody to just quickly audit your smart contracts before they come out, so that way there are no discrepancies, there are no exploits like there just was, please just get in contact with me, and I would love to assist, because I've been Crow fam since the beginning, especially since Chrono started, and it sucks to see so much FUD against crypto.com and against Chronos, because it's affecting the whole ecosystem, right? And it does suck to see, I will say that. So yeah, I just wanted to go and give that quick show. But besides that, all right, and thank you guys so much for sticking to the end of the video, and I hope you guys do like this kind of style of video, and just let me know in the comment section below if you guys do. And as always, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode of Essential Investments.